Welcome to the Creating with Beauty podcast, where God's love and beauty flow through our hearts and hands with peace and intention. Here you'll find honest conversations, inspiring stories, and gentle invitations to create with the beauty and wonder already in your life. Beauty is both a gift and an invitation, leading us down a sacred path with Jesus.
I want to help others get the freedom and the healing that I've experienced from this, because to me, it was so life-changing. I mean, my whole life had been transformed from clinical depression to, joy and happiness and freedom and like finding, love and purpose and joy in life.
Welcome everybody today to the Creating with Beauty podcast. My guest today is Hyatt Fields, and I am so excited to have her on the podcast. She has such a beautiful way of sharing God's beauty and love and light in her creative work and in these beautiful retreats and workshops that she's hosting. And her art journaling pages are gorgeous and her collage work is phenomenal. And also too, I love her heart for helping others. And so I'm really excited to talk with her today and learn more about her and her experiences and processes and all of that. So hello, Hyatt. Would you like to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hello. Thank you, Melanie, for having me. I really appreciate just being able to share my heart for art, and I'm a therapist, so I do a lot of counseling, and I use art in my counseling quite often. And as you mentioned, I love doing workshops where I will incorporate faith and art and healing to help people kind of discover a more I guess you'd say a truest version of themselves, kind of through the process of art. I love the process of art. That's kind of where my jam is. So yeah.
I'm with you on that. I love the process. I love having a finished product or project too, but it's the process where the most internal, I think, work and peace and beauty and my definition of creating with beauty is actually the time spent with the Lord. It's the beauty in spending with him. Yes, I incorporate photographs or whatever, and that's beauty too. But the beauty part is the time with him and in that process. So I love that you pointed that out, because that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
Very right. True. So have you always been creative? Were you creative as a little girl? Is this something that came on later in life?
I may have been creative as a little girl. I don't really think of myself as that. My first attempt at creativity was when I was a teenager and I was making jewelry. I was very drawn to like beads and making necklaces and things like that. So that's when I first discovered that I had some sense of creativity or design or something like that. So that was my first attempt with something creative. And then I remember when I was in my 20s, my husband's grandmother taught me how to knit. And I fell in love with fiber and just the art of creating something out of nothing, or, creating something when there wasn't anything there before.
Right.
So I think that really just was the kickoff for me. I didn't know that I had any artistic skill or ability until much, much later in life. But yeah, so there were some signs along the way, but I would never say I considered myself a creative or artistic person.
Right.
Later.
And creativity is a broad stroke too.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it can be, a lot of times people think creativity is just your paintbrushes and your sketching and your sketchbook or drawing or whatever. And that's like the realm, and painting, and that's like the realm of the art world. But art is just, there's so many ways, and creativity can be, like you said, making jewelry or knitting or sewing, or you're good at baking bread and sharing it with a neighbor, right? And also too, I see, in like from an outside looking in at what you share, I see you're very creative and intentional with how you gather people.
Yes.
And it's a very beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
So would you say so when you were younger, because I love finding this out about people. So when you were younger, were you the kind of person that like got your friends together and did fun stuff, or how did this transferred into now this part of your life?
It's so interesting because I never thought about that, but I would. I remember when I was really little, we'd have like clubs in the woods, like we'd have a clubhouse in the woods. And it's
Yeah.
funny, I remember a specific time where I actually baked a cake for the club. It was all
Oh,
the neighborhood kids. And we went down there and we had our little clubhouse meeting and we ate cake and just talked about things, told stories. So
awesome.
I never made that connection, but that's very fascinating now that you brought that up.
That is awesome. And just like God, it really,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's so cool. I firmly believe that there are things within our past that we don't realize
Yeah.
that are influencing us today with how we're wanting and trying and showing up online and in the world and helping, and wanting to help people with when you have the heart to want to help people. I really feel there are these things that are just woven into our lives that we might not know. So I'm really happy that you had that memory. That's really
Yeah,
cool. A
me too. Thank
cake.
you. Yeah.
Okay. I would have loved to have come to that gathering. Cake
Yes.
in the woods. You can't get any better than
Right?
that,
It
right?
doesn't get any better.
Absolutely. Okay, so what are some of your favorite mediums to create with now?
Now I use a lot. So I mostly do mixed media, art journaling, mixed media on canvas and stuff like that. So collage paper,
Mm.
acrylic paints, inks. I love, honestly, one of my favorite go-tos are these little, they're like kids, um, what is it called? They're kids,
Are they the sticks?
tempera, yeah, tempera
The
paint sticks.
yes.
I
I
love
want to get
those.
my hands on those. I have not tried those yet.
They're so fun and they
Yeah.
dry really fast, so there's not a lot of waiting. So yeah, things like that. I love doing collage papers, um, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I love those tempera paint sticks. They're fabulous.
I think it allows us to be little kids again,
Yes.
but in an adult way. Like just the freedom of that yeah, I have a long time ago I had the gelatos.
Yes. They're very similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the tempera ones I think they dry quicker and like you're saying. So, yeah, those would be fun. And just I think with you saying those are your one of your favorites right now. When I see those, I think of like expression,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is
Yeah.
that what you're finding when you're using those? Is
Yeah.
that it's just this freedom of expression? You don't really have to think, it's a stick
Absolutely.
and just go, right?
You just scribble,
Yeah.
draw, like make circles. Absolutely. There's so much freedom. And it really does kind of bring out the kid, that
Yeah.
sense of just exploration with your
Yeah.
art. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. What is your favorite time of day to create?
That's an interesting question because I don't think I really have a favorite time of
Okay.
day. I actually have m many different little stations, I would say, set up around my home and my studio
Hmm.
where I just kind of will stop on a whim and put marks down. Or
Nice.
so it's kind of throughout the day, just randomly. I will just stop and play for a few minutes because I don't have a lot of time that I can just set aside like a big chunk of time to create usually.
Hmm.
So it ends up just being spread out throughout the day or throughout the week. Yeah, just little here or there. I usually leave my canvas up and we'll come by and just like glue some stuff down or make some marks and just continue adding to it as I go. So I would say it's yeah, throughout the day. No,
That
never really
actually,
time.
that sounds like a great way to not overthink,
Yeah, it is. It is.
right? Like just that sounds so incredible to just like you said have your stations and then oh I'll spend 5 or 10 minutes working on this and then go on to something else that you have to do really does keep you from like over analyzing and overthinking and obsessing over well what do I do now how do I make it perfect when perfect isn't
Right.
real but that's a
Yeah.
great tip and also probably a beautiful way to live to your fullness in your creativity.
Yeah. Most of the art that I do is intuitive art anyway. I don't have like I never really know where it's going.
Mm,
So for me to sit down and do something from beginning to end is very rare because I don't
yeah,
really know. I don't have an idea in mind at the beginning. You know what I mean? It's just kind of
absolutely.
following the journey.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so cool. And I'm saying that because I've seen your Instagram feed. And so I see the things that you post and they're just it's so beautiful. And to just know that you didn't sit down and go, okay, well, I'm gonna, do this mixed media piece. The one I think of is it's like a girl. It's like a little girl and there's all kinds of bright colors around her and
Yeah.
maybe
Oh yeah.
something on not worrying or something. I don't know, something like that. And that was like the first piece I saw of yours, and I was like, what does she have? And then I'm looking. And so to know that most of the stuff that you're putting out there is just you're just being present and listening to intuition. That's beautiful. Yay.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
So how long have you been combining your art with your therapy and helping others? Or art and therapy? How long have you been doing that?
That has actually only been for the last probably 3 years or so that I've been
Okay.
doing it in the way that is helping others. I went back to school later in life to get my counseling degree, and so I've only been practicing for 3 years. And
Okay.
I started it when I was doing my internship in school, so I guess maybe longer than that, 4 years now. Um, just practicing, just trying things here or there to see if it would
Mhm.
translate. And as I started to see the outcome and the benefit, that it wasn't just something, because, I was like, maybe this is just something that I enjoy, that I've benefited
Right.
from. But as I started sharing it with others and seeing how it benefited them as well, it just really inspired me to keep going. And um, now I'm offering it to groups and different things like that because I've just seen that it's needed.
Yes.
So it's really not been that long.
Okay.
It's just been something I've done in my own for such a long time that I think it just easily translated into the therapy, and the therapeutic practice with clients and others. Yeah.
Right. Right. That's so awesome. Good for you. How did you begin to realize that there was something more to creativity, that it was actually a way in which God nurtures and loves us? Like for you personally, was there a moment that you realized this?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Um, so I had come out of a season of a really dark season of my life, just a hard, I guess you'd say a hard season. Um, And I was invited into a group called Art Sanctuary, where we would
Oh,
yeah, it was beautiful. We met once a month at these individuals' house, Brian and Debbie Miller, friends of mine when I lived in Florida. We would meet once a month at their house, and it was a group of, I don't know, maybe 15 people or so. And they would teach us each time we met like a new art technique. And I just really started to kind of fall in love with the art journaling process. And so I would take it and do it on my own, um, in between meetings. And I just started to see how God would use it to speak to me.
mhm.
And it became almost like a prayer language for me, where I
Yeah.
would just kind of pour out my prayer, pour out whatever I was feeling or experiencing onto the page, and then kind of start to cover it up with layers of paint and collage and different things. And at the end, I would have some sort of image, and it would always be reflective or representative of what I had been processing when I was writing on the
Mhm.
page prior. So even though I was covering it up, it was telling the story of what I was processing. And I just felt like it was magic. Like I
Yeah.
always had some sort of realization or almost like healing moment that came from the process of doing it.
Mm.
And I mean, even though the end result wasn't always like the most beautiful painting or anything, but it told a story. And so it was powerful to me. And so I just started collecting those experiences in my journal and recognizing that to me, it was just like a form of prayer. Um,
Yes.
and healing. God was using it to heal me. And that was before I knew anything about the right and left
Right.
hemispheres of the brain and how all this works scientifically. It just was something I felt like God led me to.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it was powerful. That
Absolutely.
was probably about 15, 13 years ago now. That
Awesome.
started, yeah.
When did your creativity move from a hobby to a calling? Is that when you went back to school and you
Yeah, so I think during that initial healing journey with my art journaling,
Mhm.
again, it kind of comes back to the whole story that had happened prior to my husband and I lived overseas. We were doing missions, and it was just a really hard part of our journey. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I came back, I was actually diagnosed with clinical depression.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I was in counseling at the time and also alongside of that doing the art journaling. And I just felt that talking through what I was experiencing was helpful. You know, it was helpful to have somebody that would sit and listen and hold my story and hold, my experiences, but the actual healing was coming more through the taking that then back to the art journal and processing it with the Lord. And so through that whole experience of counseling and art journaling, I just decided I want to help others get the freedom and the healing that I've experienced from this because to me it was so life-changing. I mean, my whole life had been transformed from clinical depression to, joy and happiness and freedom and like finding, love and purpose and joy in life again. And so I wanted that to be what others experienced. And so that's what led me to go back to school to get my counseling degree. And I didn't know if I was going to do art therapy or I'm not an art therapist, but I didn't
Right.
know if I was going to use art and, alongside of my therapy, but that's just how it kind of the path that I ended up taking. So I am a clinical counselor. I do mostly trauma therapy, but I find that art really helps heal the deep trauma that people carry because it goes beyond just talking about our pasts into
Yes.
actually healing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a realm that I've always been interested in because of my stories and things that I would, want to somehow help people with. And so I've looked into this somewhat.
Hmm.
So there's not a lot of avenues for what you have created, as
Hmm.
from what I can see, as far as you're a licensed therapist, yes, and then you have your art that you use, and then you have your faith as well. And so all those three things can combine together to really offer your clients such an experience of healing and of learning and growing and releasing. And it's just so beautiful. And this is one of the reasons why I was like, I really would love to have you on the podcast because I see you paving your own way. I see you
Oh,
paving this path. And I think that there are probably, myself included, a lot of other people that would probably be interested in somehow putting this all together in a
yeah.
way that then others can also reach out and help people, in a way. So I see you paving your way through somewhere that I don't think too many other people have, that I have found, anyways, or have seen. And so I just want to tell you, great job.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's very encouraging. And I mean,
Yeah,
again, it is where God has led me. So I feel like
yeah,
I'm just continuing to follow him on that path. Like,
yeah,
okay, let's go.
yeah,
See what happens.
yes. I love that too. You are my second podcast guest this week where you're just like, I'm just letting God do it. Like
Yeah.
wherever he takes it, whatever. And that's just beautiful. And it's what we're supposed to do. Some of
Right.
us
Yeah.
struggle with that a little bit. Like
Oh, well,
here,
I do
God, take
too.
it, and then
Yeah.
you take it back, and then here, God, take it, and then you take it back. Or
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, yes. So good for you on following through with where you're being guided to go.
Thank you.
Yeah. What part of your creative identity feels the strongest to you? And that could be your art journaling, it could be painting, it could be collage, it could be, how you serve your clients, it could be how you gather people, like all anything that's in
Yeah.
your the purpose of this question is to be like your whole being,
Hmm.
and what parts filter into now your art, because I've learned that they're not separate.
Right. Yeah. And I'm learning that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really do think, which is surprising to answer it this way, but I think it is the gathering people and
Mm-hmm.
maybe the leading them through the process.
Yeah.
Um, because I feel like it's tapping into the creative part of me that gets to create these workshops for one thing, which has been fun. Um, host, gather people, which I love, um, helping others make connections, and then helping others discover their own creative gifts, their own creative story, the fact that they've got a unique story that God is redeeming, and they get to see it translate onto paper or canvas or, whatever it might be. Um, that is just so fulfilling for me. I don't know. I think that
Mhm.
that's just the beauty of it for me is to see it transform other people
Mhm.
and to see how God shows up every time. Because I'll start a workshop and I might be like, I have no idea how this is going to go. I have no idea if we're going to even have enough time to get everything done, and then at the end, everybody's finished product is so unique to them. It tells their unique story. And they have had some sort of profound insight through the process. And I
Mm.
just love it. I think that is just, it's, I don't know, it's just God. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
It's just that creative act of how God shows up and in and through each person's
Mhm.
experience individually. It's
Right.
it's just beautiful to see. Yeah.
Absolutely. And two, the first five words of the Bible, in the beginning, God created,
Right.
right? And so we are made in his image, and we are called to be creative.
Yeah.
And no matter what that might look like, we
Right.
are called to it. I know from my own experiences and other people that, it draws us closer to him. Like you have a completely different or more a deeper relationship with him when he shows up on your art journal page or in a photograph, that I'll take, and I'll be gobsmacked at, what I just saw and was able to
Right.
take a picture of, or, anything, your paint puddles, like any of it, one, because pray without ceasing. And
Right.
even in creativity, if we're praying through that, he's going to reveal and share something. And so that's really awesome that you are gathering people and helping them experience that,
Yeah.
because it can feel kind of foreign, at
Yeah.
first, right? It can feel like
Oh, of course.
unsure or whatever. And then when you have somebody kind of taking you through the steps,
Yeah.
not that there are any specific steps, but your experiences for how to move through something, then that's just beautiful. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people have said, I'm not artistic or I'm not creative or I'm not,
mhm.
I don't know if I can do this even. And I'm always just wait and see. Just wait and see. You're gonna and they always are so surprised with themselves at the
Yeah,
end. So it's just fun to see that and to see them witness a part of them that they didn't think was even there, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I did see on your Instagram one of your retreats or one of your workshops or whatever. I think everybody was drawing, or they were doing faces. They were doing
Yeah.
like a girl or something. Those were
Mhm.
so cool.
Oh, good. Yeah.
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 That was so just like the color palettes and things. It was just so different,
Yeah.
so soft and inviting and peaceful, just to kind of see their work. And
Yeah.
so we all have hard things to work through, to walk through. If you would like, share one or more areas where God has used it in your life to create beauty for ashes.
Yeah. Yeah, so there have been so many hard things. As you said, we all have so many hard things. But I mentioned earlier uh, coming away from a season of living overseas and having a diagnosis of clinical depression. And um, one of the things that, other than art journaling, in the process of art journaling, I started creating these soul paintings. And basically, it was intuitive painting. So it would be, just kind of start with whatever was on the page, scribbling, dropping ink, paint. And I would just kind of look to see if I could see an image coming forth through
Mm,
whatever was on the page. And mine always turned into a person, always turned into a face. And so I would paint in the face and then I would find the body in there and I would paint in the body. Sometimes it would be kind of sideways and crooked. Sometimes it would just be straight there. Um, and then in the soul, what I like the stomach belly area of of the girl, I would kind of see what was coming forth, and I would paint a smaller image inside of that, or I would collage a smaller
Mhm.
image inside of that. And I started calling them my soul paintings because I felt that these girls were carrying what was wanting to be birthed in my soul as far as
Mm.
the healing part of my journey. And now I've since then gone to creating those on bigger, large canvases, and they all just tell this beautiful story of what wants to be birthed out of the process of creating the painting. And so in the end, it's always this beautiful, you know, person, usually a girl, and in her belly area is the story that's coming forth of whatever she's birthing, I guess, or whatever is healing in her. And so that just kind of came through that processing that season of depression. And it has now just become a way that I process any kind of feelings, any kind of season of life, any kind of change or transition. I'll usually go to the canvas and start to create one of those paintings. And it's always, again, just so profound what God does through that process.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Like, how cool. That is such a cool story. Like,
Thank you.
I just want to go like draw a shape and put a
Yes.
stomach,
Yeah. I
draw,
want to, I
like,
do want to
oh my
create
word.
like a some sort of course of how to do it because I think it's just such a wonderful experience and I think people would really learn a lot from it and it's fun to do and then they're pretty paintings at the end, you know. So,
I
um
strongly encourage you to do that.
thank you.
Really, I it
One
just sound
day,
like I one day, right?
yeah. Yeah.
But no, it just sounds like such a cool process too. And then now you have like this system, that you can do and just keep repeating it, but then you get different things every time. That's so amazing.
Right.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. I love it.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
great. So a great way to take the difficult and turn it into something
Yeah.
beautiful and meaningful and healing, which
Yeah.
is all through God. That's great. A little earlier we talked about your unique attributes and how now you realize that probably gathering is one of those unique gifts that God has given you to use to help and encourage other people. So that's kind of what I call your divine design, like those unique things that God gives us to, and then
Yeah.
we kind of discover how, oh, wait, God, there was a purpose for this. It's combining your divine design and the beauty that God shares with you in your life
Mhm.
become a part of your soul, a part of your testimony, or even a part of your ministry.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it has been going through my own season of healing and refinement and just almost losing faith that God was
Mm.
good and then coming back to seeing, you know, that he is and believing that again has given me the ability to see so much beauty in pain and suffering.
Mm.
And I think that's what has helped me to be able to be present to people in the counseling realm where people are just suffering really hard things, traumatic experiences through their life and or currently going through something really difficult. I'm able to hold that space and see that there is a promise, through it, that there's something that
Mm.
God is going to bring beauty from ashes at some point. And um, I only know that because of my own journey and my own understanding of how long that takes sometimes,
Yeah.
and how faithful God is through the hard stuff. And so I think that it just helps me to see the beauty in everybody's story, no matter what point they are in it and what they see it, how they see it. Um, I just have this hope for them,
Hmm.
and I just want to keep showing up for them, even
Yeah.
if they feel like they can't even show up for themselves in the moment. Um, so I don't know if that actually answers the question,
Sure.
but I
Sure.
think that it's just really given me this ability to stay present to knowing that something good is on the other side,
Hmm.
and that often we have to go through the really hard stuff to even get to that place of discovering, the truth of even who we are in that process. Because a lot of what we're experiencing and going through is pulling back the lies and um, you know, going through the fire that the enemy has created
Mhm.
to keep us from that place of
Right,
knowing God's love for us and knowing who we really are.
right. Yes, for a long time, my life verse was Romans 8:28. All things work together for good for those who love God. And I clung to that. I still do.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that was like for a time there, that was just like I just kept telling myself that, and remember and trying to remember that,
Yeah.
somehow, some way good will come from this hard time.
Hmm.
And, what do I need to learn through the process
Right.
and as you have found and I have found too, it always most always seems to come with a way to then help somebody else
Yes. Yeah.
through that time. And it's amazing how God will take what has been meant for bad and use it for good. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But it takes the leaning into him and the trust and the knowing that he is there, he cares, and he'll get us through it.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Because none of us are immune. Like,
No, we are
I'm
not.
a firm believer that none of us are immune from, I mean, I know I'm not, but I just like
Yes.
everybody has something that they're working through or dealing with.
Right.
And you may not talk about it or think about it, or, you know, I
But
also can be a
yeah.
stuffer where, I just don't really think,
Right.
whatever, go away, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
we all have those things to work through, and God is there. So I appreciate you sharing that testimony. That's great. Do you have a God dream that you're holding close right now?
I think I have a few. Um,
Okay. Yeah,
some
do
that are,
tell.
yeah, some that aren't fully developed, maybe. Um, but definitely, I think I want to create a larger community. I want to create maybe an online community or a way to just offer space for more than just the people who know me here, and can come into the 10 or 11 people that can fit in my studio, to experience this. And so I've thought maybe creating an online community, some sort of um, where we meet monthly online on Zoom and create together or something to that effect. So that's a dream. And I don't think it's too far-fetched. I think it's just a
No,
matter of putting some things together, really.
absolutely.
But then another dream, and I just don't really know exactly where this will fit or if it's even fully aligned yet. But um, I mentioned that I lived overseas. I was on the mission field for a while, and part of the hard part of that was where I lived in a third world country, and there was no access to therapy, no access to mental health and I needed it at the time. I needed someone to help process what I was experiencing and going through. And so that's part of what also encouraged me to go back to school to get my counseling degree. And I just am curious to see if that's going to be something that I get to do in the future is offer that to people who are serving overseas or even people, that are on the field or, you know, people who live in the countries that don't have that to help establish and develop counseling programs and raise up counselors in those parts of the world to help their own people. Um, because one of the things that I know that people don't sell everything they own, give up their whole lives to go across the world to not have the resources that they need when it gets hard.
Yeah.
And that was my experience. And so I can somehow see how that might be something that I get pulled back towards. I am actually going to Africa next month, and I'm going to get to do some art therapy there, and I'm really excited about that. I've never been to that part of the world, and I'm excited to see how the therapy and the art therapy translates over there.
Mhm.
So that'll be my first experience, and I'm just curious to see how it goes and to see what God does in my heart through that experience. So
I
make
am really excited to see that too
yeah, thank
for
you.
you because I have a feeling
Yeah.
that it's all going to come together the way he wants it to.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
I
Okay.
feel like that's my, that God is redeeming the years the locusts have stolen kind of. I feel like I'm leaning into that season where God is just redeeming the years that the locusts have stolen. And that feels very real to me right now. And I'm excited about that.
And also, actually, a healing journey for you.
Right.
Where do you feel joy leading you in your faith, in life, and in creativity?
Oh, I feel like joy is leading me into this more holistic expression of health. Let's see if I can articulate this. I'm trying to um be more present to every aspect of my life. Health,
Mm,
time, ministry, job, art, relationships. Um, and when you start listing them all off, it's a lot, and it
right?
feels like, okay, this is a lot. But I'm noticed that I'm things are falling off. Like just things that don't matter as much are just kind of
Mm,
falling off, watching TV, for instance, just things that I love doing that kind of stuff. I love watching a movie and reading a book, and I still will read a book because I love reading a book. But I am trying just to make more time for the things that really, really matter to me. And I feel like when I create the space for those things, I feel so much more joy and I feel so much more full of life. And even just getting out in nature. That's been something that my husband and I have tried to prioritize weekly. Go for a hike or, go out and just be outside, spending time with, it's so healing. And so,
mhm.
just following the deeper desires of my heart that kind of clearing out the clutter and the noise and following those deeper desires and listening to them and honoring them um, has just led me to more joy. And I know it sounds so simple and it almost sounds like duh, but it's hard for us to do that. It's hard
Absolutely.
for us to just really follow what we feel like if we're connected to the spirit, where the spirit is guiding us and leading us. And sometimes it seems counterintuitive, I guess, but I don't know. I want to be in fully aligned to God's spirit within me. And um, the more I focus on that, I guess, or make space for that and attune to that, the happier I am. And
Mhm.
it's just true. Again, I'm like, it sounds so simple and like, duh, but it's not. It's never been that simple for me. It's always been difficult to get to that place. So,
I think that's so true with a lot of people because we're so programmed to go, go, go
right.
and do. And I mean, now with the internet, and it's funny how we can talk about it before internet.
Yeah, I
We
know.
know the difference, right? Our
Yes.
generation knows the difference. But like before the internet, and then now it's just like everything is so all consuming, and it's harder. It's more of an intention and an effort to do the things you just said. But
Yeah,
then when you do it, you actually find the peace that you're looking for and
exactly.
not the crazy constant information and all of that. Yeah. How do you hope to bless and encourage others through your art?
Oh, um, mostly I think I just hope to I never really think about my art, like the art that I make,
Mhm.
blessing and encouraging others. I guess that it could. I just don't really think about it like that because it's usually so personal to me. Um, Although I have had people mention that, oh, like it speaks to me in this way or something like that, which
Mhm.
I think is a blessing. But for me, I think it's just more sharing the art itself, the act of creating itself with others,
Mhm.
um, is such a blessing to them when they get to experience it and get to go through that process themselves and learn about themselves, transform into a more truer version of who they really are, see God speaking to them through it, see healing come through it, to me, I think that is the blessing. And
Mhm.
and in just the sharing the act of creating, I guess.
Yeah,
Does that make
right.
sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what would your creativity say if it could directly speak to someone who's hurting? And I mean creativity in anything that you do.
It would say something along the lines of, I know. I'm here. I'm here. I'm with you in it. Um, I can hold space for you in it, and we'll get through it. That
Okay.
that God will be present in it with you. And I think it would be more like that, more just speaking that process of holding space for their suffering or their journey or whatever it is they're going through, saying, I've got this with you. I'm here with you in it. And so is the Lord. And if you just stay here right next to him, he's going to bring beauty out of this, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen to that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks. That,
And really just like at the heart of what you're doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so true. I've seen it happen so many times and I've seen it happen in my own life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. What fills your creative well of inspiration?
Mm. Um, my well is filled mostly in nature. I think there is something about being out in nature that just fills me up. I feel like everything just kind of drops off that I've been carrying throughout the week. And I see God's creation. I see, I mean, just I'm just blown away by creation. Like,
Mhm.
he's the master artist, right? Like,
Right.
I can't even believe some of the things I see when I'm out in nature and I just attune to it and I open my eyes. The other day I was on a hike and I found a Luna moth and I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen before. I've only ever seen pictures of these or paintings of these, and to see one in the wild, it really did blow just take my breath away, and I was like, this is an actual living thing that God created. And I don't know. I almost don't even have words to describe it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that is where I get filled up, is just
Yeah.
being in creation.
And just looking at all the fine details of
Yeah.
every, like there's so much detail in
Mhm.
everything. I mean, even, as simple as a rock or,
Yeah.
seriously, like
I
rocks
have
can
a
be.
bowl of rocks over here. Just that I've yeah.
Me too. We actually have buckets of rocks because we will vacation on Lake Superior.
Yeah. Oh,
And
wow. Yeah.
I know, and it's amazing. I'll never forget the first time we went. We went to the beach and I had no idea it wasn't a sand beach, it was a rock beach. And I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
what are we going to do with this? And this
Yeah.
was like in 2007. And we have been there almost every year since. We might have missed 5 years since
Mhm.
2007 total. But, anyways, the rock, like even in a rock, rocks can be so beautiful. Or another thing that pops into my mind are like dragonflies
Yeah.
and their wings, how they're all different, or like the iridescence and how it shows up, and they're all different. Like it's amazing, just something
Yeah.
so simple. So, like you said, like with the moth too, it's just if you look for him, you will find him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the
that's
moth and the rock and the dragon,
yep.
in
Yep.
anything. Yeah. But it's those moments that are what nurture our hearts and souls and tell us that he's there and he does care, even in the.
Um, my door to my studio, because this is the space that I do counseling in, has all of these caterpillars have been coming and making cocoons on my door. I've got like 8 different caterpillar cocoons on the door to my studio. They didn't do it last year, and I wasn't in here at this time last year because we were still remodeling. but it to me it symbolizes transformation, right? Because
Absolutely.
they're on the door to my therapy studio, and I just think that is so powerful, the symbolism of all these caterpillars creating cocoons on my door. And I'm just like, okay, God, I don't know what you're doing
That
with
is
this, but it's
so,
such a beautiful story to see that they feel like
abs
this is the place they want to transform, you know?
absolutely. And think about the messages that that's sending
I
to the people that
know.
are coming into your
I
studio.
know. It's
Like,
so
that's
cool.
just like, that's God saying, I am here. I
Right.
know.
Right.
And you're doing a good thing. Okay, so based on your experiences, what are three things listeners can do today to lean into Jesus through creativity?
Mm. Okay, so I would say, based on my experience, I would encourage you to maybe start an art journal if you haven't done that. It is a powerful place to be with the Lord, to meet with the Lord and pray. And um, even if it's just something like simple collaging on a page, finding words in a magazine that speak to you, sitting with that container of the art journal, it's almost like this sacred space that can just hold your prayers or your tears, your joy, all of it. Every emotion can be brought to the page and just create in that. It doesn't have to be anything profound. It can just be a place to kind of hold those prayers. And yeah, so that would be one thing I would say. One thing I always say is trust the process. Just trust that process like if you are in a season of anything, transition, doubt, fear, hardship, just trust the process the Lord has you on. It is for a reason. That refinement process is not always easy, but it is for your higher good, right?
Mhm.
Um, and then I would say, if you're in a season of darkness or heaviness, something as simple as just getting a black crayon and scribbling it out on the page. Just even the bilateral movement of the back and forth scribble is therapeutic because it's bringing both the right and left hemispheres of your brain online. It's creating a space where you can tap into your subconscious and the depth of what you feel. And it actually helps you process hard emotions. So, something as simple as just scribbling on a page is therapeutic and healing. And God will show up in that. He's not afraid of your mess. Like, he's just not, he's not afraid of the messy middle part of it. So, invite him into it. Um, that's that's definitely, I think a lot of us feel like we have to skip that part and go to God, you know, when everything's better but no, invite him
Right,
right into the mess. He knows anyway. He wants to be
right.
a part of that. Um, and the other thing I would say is just turn on worship music and
Mm.
write a verse down that is meaningful to you right now and just draw around it, doodle around it, color around it, paint around it. It it is and then it'll bring your entire body into that process of engaging with worship. And it's a beautiful process. So I would just say try it. If you've never tried anything like that, just try it. I think that you'll be surprised at how powerful it is.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing those. Thank you for sharing so much of your story. And there's just so much goodness in our conversation today. And I so thank you for sharing all of it and coming on the podcast. And can you please tell our listeners where they can find you online?
Yes, and thank you, Melanie, for having me. This was really
Yes.
lovely.
Good.
Um, so I am on my website is beautifulbecoming.com.
Okay.
My counseling practice is called A Beautiful Becoming, and so beautifulbecoming.com. Instagram is a.beautiful.becoming, and I'm just Hyatt Fields on Facebook.
Okay.
That's about
Wonderful.
all that's where I am these days.
That's where you're at. That's
Yep.
that's that's plenty. You have a lot that you're doing. So wonderful. All right. Thank you, Hyatt. Thank you
Thank
so much for being
you.
here.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.